Okay, so we are live. Welcome back, guys. Episode 7 of Screen Reel. I'm just going to make this quick. I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantamania. Just quickly, just some other movies. Last weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend, I watched 80 for Brady. Look, that movie just wasn't for me. Um, I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was a very well made movie. However, I also saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and that movie made 80 for Brady look like an Oscar contender. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I think it currently has like an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't know. I was actually excited for the movie. Like, I thought it was going to be a real movie, but it felt like a student film. It was shot like a student film. It was acted like a student film, and there wasn't really a story apart from what we already knew from the trailers. The movie was terrible. I wanted to walk out like 15 minutes in. I just wanted to walk out, but I didn't because unfortunately this movie wasn't eligible for A-list, so I basically had to pay for it. So yeah, I wasn't going to walk out. And plus, we got popcorn and soda and a flatbread pizza, so we had food there that we had to eat. So yeah. But anyways, I quickly, before we jump into the main episode, I just wanted to look at the box office for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So last week I predicted that it would probably come around the $100 million mark, maybe 102, 103, 104, 105 maybe, but I did not think it would go like towards the 110. So obviously at the time that I'm recording this, the weekend isn't over, but we do have estimates, and they're usually pretty spot on. They're usually only off by a couple of million. So the estimates for the regular weekend, we're getting $104 million domestically. And then for the 3-day weekend, because President's Day, they're estimating $118 million domestically. So the proper weekend, which is just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are looking at 104, which is basically around the range that I was predicting like a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 2 months ago now. There were predictions that maybe it could hit like 130, 140, 150, but I never thought it would ever come close to that, just because, you know, if you look at the past box offices of the previous Ant-Man movies, they're not huge like money makers, which is fine because they are supposed to be more smaller kind of films. This one did have a bigger scope. So yeah, it is the highest grossing opening weekend domestic of any of the Ant-Man movies. So that was cool. And then worldwide, again, this is all estimates. Worldwide, we're looking at $357 million worldwide so far. So my estimate for the worldwide number, like at the end of its theatrical run after it's been in theaters for weeks, I was estimating maybe around 750, maybe 800. I mean, after the reviews and after just seeing the critic reception, I don't know if it's going to hit 800. I don't know if it'll hit 750 either. I think it might fall in between 700 and 750. But I do think it'll hit the $700 million mark, because it's basically almost at $400 million worldwide in less than a week. So I think it will be able to make the remaining $350 million in the next couple of weeks. However, that being said, the audience score is a lot higher, and I delve more deep into this in the main episode, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. So yeah, let's just get right to it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your weekly dose of Screen Real. All right. So the date has come and gone, and I watched Ant-Man last night. At the time of this recording, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania last night. So this is how I'm going to break this down. I'm going to quickly just go through my thoughts on the movie. Then I'll talk about the post credits. Then I'll talk about, and I sort of brought this up last time, I think, in the previous episode, but I want to talk about the issue that Marvel is currently in, and then also some of the things that we've heard that maybe they're going in the right direction to fix the issue. I'm going to be talking about Quantumania with the intent to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it yet, then don't watch it. But if you have seen it, or if you don't care about spoilers, then stick around. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I watched the movie last night, like I just said, and I've had like 18 hours to think about it at this point. And look, in a world where we're only giving thumbs up or thumbs down, to me, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is a thumbs up. While I did like the movie, I do have a lot of, not a lot, but there are issues with it. It's not, even to me, like the director Peyton Reed, he said this is an Avengers level movie, and I said this last time too. But I want to bring it up because while it is the Ant-Man movie that has like the biggest scope, it's like the biggest Ant-Man movie. I don't know. It didn't feel like an Avengers level movie to me. Like it felt like the biggest Ant-Man film out of the three of them. This obviously had the biggest scope, the bigger stakes, bigger action, but it's not like, say, Captain America: Civil War. That was an Avengers level movie, or I don't know. That's the only one I could think of, I think. But anyways, here's the gist of the plot. If you saw it, you already know it. Basically, the movie starts. Paul Rudd, Scott Lang, is reading a book that he published. It's sort of like a monologue, like in Spider-Man 3, for example, like when the movie starts and Peter Parker is sort of monologuing. Cassie is in jail. They go to pick her up. They go back home. Cassie tells them that she created this device that sends a signal down to the quantum realm, and we can receive signals from the quantum realm back. And there's a sort of mysterious thing looming over this entire conversation because Janet is like, shut that shit down right now because it's dangerous. And there's a lot of stuff that I haven't told you. And as she's about to tell them, the device sort of starts sucking everything in, and then within like the first 10-15 minutes we're in the quantum realm. So it kind of happened pretty fast, and then literally for the entire rest of the movie we are in the quantum realm until the last final 5 minutes where we wrap it all up. But we're in the quantum realm. We see that there's societies and all these different beings and creatures. And actually, the one thing that I didn't know, that I couldn't even tell from the trailers, was that Hank, Hope, and Janet, they get split up from Scott Lang and Cassie. So they're like split up throughout the entire movie until basically the very end. And yeah, we learn about Kang and how he basically has this entire society, like these societies that live there. They're basically being ruled under his control. And the big CGI battle happens. We get MODOK in there, and then we get a fist fight at the end with Scott Lang and Kang. They defeat Kang. Scott Lang escapes, and then at the end, he sort of is monologuing again, and he's sort of thinking, "We defeated him, right? Right? Everything's gonna be okay. I don't know." And then that's really where the movie ends off, and then we get the post-credit scenes. So let me start with the things that I do like. I'll start with the things that I do like, and then we'll get to the negatives. So overall, I think this is, I don't want to use the word worst, but this is my least favorite Ant-Man movie. I would put the second one, Ant-Man and the Wasp, in first place. Then I would put the first Ant-Man in second place, and then I would put Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, in third place. Currently, Quantumania has a 48% critic scores. So it's pretty much split down the middle. Just by a thin margin, the majority of people didn't like it. Now, interestingly enough, the audience score is at an 84%. with 2,500 plus verified ratings. So there's a disparity here between the general audience and the critics. 84% of the audience liked it, but only 48% of the critics liked it. So, and this is another thing. The percentages on Rotten Tomatoes aren't scores. They aren't a reflection of the quality of the movie. The percentage is just what percentage of the people who saw this movie liked it. So that is a little knowledge nugget that you should carry around with you. So it's the lowest rated Ant-Man movie of all the three by a huge margin, and it's the second MCU movie with a rotten score. The only other one is Eternals, which has a 47%. So it's only lower by 1%. So they're pretty much on par. I think this is pretty much where the score is going to end out. I thought it wouldn't go under 50%, but it did. So I don't know. Maybe it might go a little lower. Who knows? But I liked Eternals too, and the audience score on Eternals is a 77%. So again, there's like a 30% disparity there. So look, I liked the movie. There was a 50-50 chance basically that I wouldn't like it, but I ended up that I did like it. I gave it a thumbs up. So the good parts of the movie, just to get back on track, is mainly Kang. Kang was the best part of the movie. My favorite scene of the entire movie was the flashback when Janet was talking to Hank and Hope about when she first met Kang. And we get a scene at the beginning when Janet is in the quantum realm and we see Jonathan Majors as Kang. Like, he's basically powerless and he looks like he has no idea where he is, but we learn later on that he knows exactly where he is. He was banished by the other Kangs. But it was cool. Every time Kang was on screen, I was hooked. Like, as soon as Kang was on screen, I was hooked. And he doesn't actually pop up until maybe like halfway through the movie, apart from that first scene at the beginning. Dude, his performance, he is a scary ass motherfucker. Not just the way he looks or the suit he's wearing, but the way he talks and the way he interacts with everybody else. Like, when he's in the room, he has a presence. Like, you feel the power just emanating off of him. So they cast a really good actor for him. And he's going to be in Creed 3 in about 2 weeks. So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, he killed it. And the other things that I liked, I did like MODOK. I thought MODOK was good. The only thing I didn't like about MODOK was the face composite that they did, the CGI-ish thing of it. Like, I thought it did not look good. And the main reason, I guess, for me was, like, you had his bald head sticking out of the top. Usually MODOK in the comic books has, like, hair, but it wasn't about the bald head. It just looked like it was just sticking out, and they could have... they should have done something because his face looked too clean. Like, I get that he only got shrunk down, but I don't know. They should have had some scarring on his face, or maybe even like the top of his head should have gotten like chopped off and there was only like brain. Like, you just saw his brain there or something. I don't know. But I did like the way they portrayed the character, and it's not comic accurate to the story because in the comics, MODOK isn't Darren Cross, but you know, the comics are one thing. The movies, you have to adapt it. You can't just copy and paste it. I thought MODOK worked, and the only reason it worked is because they did treat him as somewhat of a joke. So it would have been ridiculous if they tried to make him like a serious villain, serious antagonist in the movie. He did look goofy, and he's supposed to look goofy. I mean, he's just a giant floating head with tiny hands and legs, and they did poke fun at that too. I did like all the scenes. Like, when he first popped up, it did catch me off guard when he took his mask off for the first time. And just an interesting thing about that, like, a lot of people are complaining about the way he looks, which is fine. Like, I get it. Like, even I think he looks weird. A lot of people don't like the way his character was. I disagree with that personally, but we can all agree, I think, that the way he looked without the helmet, without the mask on, it did look a little weird. And I remember a couple months ago when, like, a leaked picture of MODOK came out with the mask on, I just saw a lot of people complaining about that. And I was thinking, like, I don't mind it, like, if MODOK was just a robot, because we just got that picture with his mask on. So my first assumption was, okay, I guess MODOK is going to be like some kind of robot. And that's fine. To me, that was fine. But I saw a lot of comments and a lot of people voicing their opinions about how they didn't like the design, how they wanted it to be more comic accurate, they didn't want it to be a robot. And it's just like, well, you can't translate things specifically. But okay, so it turns out that was just a mask, and he was more comic accurate the way he looked, but now people are complaining about that. So I just think when we're talking about MODOK, it was going to be a lose-lose situation, because whether they just kept his mask on the entire time, people would have complained that he didn't look comic accurate. They took his mask off and we get a more comic accurate look for MODOK. People complain that it looks stupid. Well, yeah, it does look stupid, and that's kind of the point. So yeah, I did like MODOK. The other thing, I mean, look, I like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. I thought Cassie, she was good too. And I really like the moments between Scott and Cassie, especially, and this is just like a tiny thing, but especially when he called her, like, what's it called? Like Peanut? When he called her Peanut, it's sort of like we've seen him call her that from the very first film. So it really just, because it's obviously a different actress, but it sort of just reminds you that it's the same little girl that we saw in the first two movies. So yeah, I liked all the scenes between Scott Lang and Cassie. I thought the motivations as well. The only reason why Scott wants to help Kang is because of Cassie. So I thought the motivation for driving the plot forward and why Scott would even want to help Kang, I thought it completely made sense, and that did work for me. And look, I liked the other characters too. I liked Hank, Hope, and Janet. I thought somebody would die. I really did think somebody was gonna die, either Hope or Hank, but nobody died, and that's fine. I did say that if you want to make Kang seem like formidable, then somebody would have to die, and I think if they did have Kang kill somebody, then it would have made him much more scary, I guess. But like I just said, you know, the way Jonathan Majors portrayed the character, I thought it was really good. And I mean, as much as I said that somebody should die, I don't know who I would want to die, because I do like all the characters. I like Hank, I like Hope, I like Janet. So yeah, I like the scenes outside of the quantum realm too. I wish we had spent more time outside of the quantum realm, which I guess now I'll get into my negatives. I feel like we went into the quantum realm too quickly, and I guess I get why they maybe decided to do that, but I don't know. I just felt like there should have been more of a, I don't know. I feel like if they would have spent more, like instead of like 10 minutes in like the opening scenes and then go into the quantum realm, maybe 20, 25, 30 minutes outside and then go inside, and then we spend less time in the quantum realm and just get through it faster, because I do feel like we spent a lot of time. And look, I get it, the movie is called Quantamania and everything, but I don't know, I just felt like when we first get to the quantum realm, the movie sort of just dragged and we were just seeing a whole bunch of stuff, and it would have been a lot better if we had more of a buildup of like going into the quantum realm and just spending more time outside at the beginning. We could have gotten a couple of scenes with Luis and, you know, the other sidekicks. I don't know, because those characters are like a huge piece of these Ant-Man movies. I feel like if they would have done that and then gotten sucked into the quantum realm and immediately saw Kang, then that would have been better. Like we immediately jump right into the action as soon as we go into the quantum realm. But they go into the quantum realm and it sort of just drags. Like they get split up and it just feels like we're not doing anything right now. We're just trying to like lengthen the runtime by, I don't know, like I don't even know what they were doing. Like they were trying to find each other. So I guess that, but I don't know. I just felt like that took way, way, way too long. The other thing I was going to say was, oh yeah, so we have these societies living in the quantum realm, which I thought was cool, but I felt like we should have learned more about it, should have spent more time with them. We got a couple of notable characters like the jelly creature, we got that like robot thing, but I just feel like we did not get to know this society on more of a personal level, and we didn't really understand what their struggle was. Like I understand what the struggle is, but we didn't get to feel the struggle for them. And I feel like if we would have gotten more of that, then it would have been more impactful for that final battle, because by the time we get to the final battle, it's just an entire huge CGI fight, which again, this is a superhero movie. I get it. There's no way of shooting these like I don't know, these interdimensional creatures practically. So I get that it has to be CGI, but if you have to do that, then you have to have maybe some sort of heart in there. I don't know, like I didn't really care about the society. If that, I think really that's what it boils down to. I just didn't care about the society there, the people that were living there. The other thing that I didn't like again was Hank, Hope, and Janet go talk to, I don't even know what the character's called, but the character that Bill Murray plays when they're at like a bar and Hank asks that bartender to give him something that'll get him drunk. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but he asked for it, but then I don't think he ever got it. Or maybe I missed something. But that entire scene where like there's an insinuation that Janet like had a relationship down there. It's like, okay, cool, but like the way the scene was executed, it was kind of boring. I was getting bored in those scenes. I just wanted to cut back to, I don't even know where, because the Scott and Cassie stuff, I guess, was a little more interesting, but even that was a little boring. Like, I just was like, can we just get to Kang? Because like throughout this entire like sequence, like cutting back and forth between Scott and Cassie and cutting back to Janet, Hank, and Hope, they're talking about, oh, he, him, them. I don't know why I'm speaking pronouns and shit, but like they're obviously talking about Kang, and it's just like, I get that you're trying to hype him up, but this isn't the first time that we've seen Kang, right? We already saw him in the last episode of Loki, and we've seen Kang in the trailers, so we already know who Kang is, and they're talking about Kang as if we don't know who Kang is. And I just felt like every time they said that, like for the first half of the movie, like they just kept on referring to Kang like in a nameless way. We didn't actually hear the name Kang until Janet started telling her story of Kang. And it wasn't, I think, until that point that things started to pick up again. Like we saw that entire flashback with Kang and Janet, and then we got Kang, like Scott and Cassie met Kang, and I just felt like they were trying to build it up, but there was no reason to, because we already knew who Kang was, right? Like we already know who Kang is. We already saw him. So that's another gripe that I had with the movie. What else? I mean, yeah, apart from the big CGI battle at the very end, that it just felt a little meaningless to me. It was just like, okay, we're getting here. The only part of the final battle that I liked was that fist fight between Kang and Scott. Other than that, it was just a huge CGI fest. Like nothing in there was real. And then the other thing too is that the quantum realm didn't feel like a real place. It just felt like they were in front of a green screen. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have used green, because obviously you're gonna have to use a lot of special effects if you're gonna film inside the quantum realm, because there isn't really anywhere in real life where you can, for it to be the quantum realm. So they obviously have to create this entire world digitally, which is fine. But I don't know if it's because maybe they didn't have enough time to polish the special effects, or if they just are just over relying on the what's it called, the dome, or what's it called, like the volume. I think, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically, it's not a green screen, but it's this entire room with like a 360 screen. So it's like a circular room, and instead of doing a green screen, right, and the actors having to imagine where they're supposed to be at, the entire screen is basically their background. So whatever they would have put in the green screen is on that screen. So the entire landscape of where they're supposed to be is there. So I guess it makes it easier and better for the actors to act, because they know exactly where they're supposed to be. We get like a live, well, quote unquote live view of the background or whatever the green screen was supposed to be. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but it was used in The Mandalorian. It was used in the Obi-Wan show. I think it was used in Thor Love and Thunder. I think it was used also in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but here it looked very bad. I would say bad because it just did not look real at all. It didn't feel like you were in a place. It just felt like you were in front of a green screen. So that's another thing, and I don't know if, I mean, the volume is a new tool. Like, they only first started using it for The Mandalorian when it first came out. That was the first instance of it being used, I think. At least the first instance that Disney used something like that was in 2019. So that was like 3 years ago. So it's still a new technology. So I get that if you're a director, you know, you just have to know how to use these tools. So I'm not saying don't ever use the volume again, but you just have to, I don't know, just use it better. So that's another gripe. Like, the entire setting, at least for me, it just didn't feel like a real place. Oh, I forgot to say one other thing that I did like. I really liked when Scott went into the whatever, like the enlarged orb thing, and like he starts to duplicate and they're all probabilities. I thought that was a really good scene because when they're lifting him up at the end, they all look like ants, just like the way ants sort of interact and help each other. So I thought that was like a really cool scene for, I don't know if this is the last Ant-Man movie, but if it is, it's a really cool scene that like everything has sort of built up to this. Like he sort of became the ants and he actually started to act like ants. Like they all helped each other up the way ants would, if that makes sense. And then obviously we had that one Baskin Robbins version of Scott Lang, which I was laughing throughout that entire thing. The only issue I have with that scene though is that the special effects did not look good. Again, I would say the special effects in that scene looked bad. The way they were all duplicated, and when we got like shots of just entire like hundreds of him there, it looked very bad. It did not look good. I'm not even gonna say it didn't look good. I'm gonna say it just looked bad. It looked really, really, really bad. It just looked very amateurish. Like for Disney, who is like this multi-billion-dollar studio, you would think they would have enough money to put like enough money into this to make it look better and more real. Lately, Marvel movies, CGI and special effects have not looked good, and it was very, very apparent in this movie, which I'm about to get on to that topic right after I talk about these post-credit scenes. Oh, the another thing that I liked also, and I did like both post-credit scenes, but another thing that I liked of the main movie was that last like 5-minute scene when they're outside of the quantum realm, when Scott is like walking and he's doing the whole monologue again, and he stops and he's like, wait, did I save the day? Because Kang did say if he didn't get out that people would die. And then we sort of just focus on like these random civilians on the street, and like the music got darker and he sort of stops in his tracks. And I don't know, I thought that scene was really good, because the one thing that I didn't like was like, okay, so it's all gonna wrap up nicely just like that. Like Kang is supposed to be the main villain of the multiverse saga, so phase 4, 5, and 6. We're just gonna wrap everything up that nicely. And then I thought it was good to get that like stop in the tracks and just like Scott wondering if he actually did save the day. So yeah, I thought that was really good. And then obviously also the other thing was just that fist fight between Scott and Kang, which they sort of spoiled it in the trailers, like that line where Scott is like, you know, I don't have to win, we just both have to lose, which I thought that was a dope line, and it worked even better when you actually see it in the context of the movie itself. Yeah, so they defeat Kang. I thought he was defeated a little too easily, but it was cool that it took both Ant-Man and the Wasp to defeat Kang. And I also like that Scott was gonna basically sacrifice himself. Like he just pushed Cassie in there and he was just gonna fight and not let him in. So I mean, not let him in, not let him out. And then yeah, so then we got the 2 post-credit scenes. The first one, we see the Council of Kangs, which to me, again, I'm not a super comic book nerd. Like I knew what the Council of Kangs was supposed to be, but I thought it was only comprised of like 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10 different Kangs, like just this like council of Kangs. But they called every single version of Kang, and there's just like hundreds of Kangs in this like stadium setting. So I'm guessing that's the Council of Kang, which was completely not what I was expecting it to be. And then also, because we saw the Kang in Loki, and then we saw the Kang in this movie, they both basically look the same. But the Kangs that we see in the post-credit scene, like there's one that looks like a pharaoh, the other one is like bald and has, I don't know, some stuff on him, and then there's another one. Basically, every version of Kang looks different. I feel like, oh yeah, that does make more sense. If it's like a whole multiverse of Kangs, they're not gonna all look exactly the same. So to me, that post-credit scene was dope. And then we also get the second post-credit scene, which I predicted last week. I did say I think they're gonna do a post-credit scene for Loki, but at the same time, it was such an obvious thing. Like we got Kang in Loki season 1, so he's obviously gonna be in Loki season 2, and then we're getting Kang in this movie, and then we're getting Loki season 2 in a couple of months. So obviously there's a huge like strong like connecting force between these two, which is Kang. So they're gonna do a post-credit scene to tease Loki season 2, and then we get, I guess, like a scene from the second season of Loki. We see Kang, he's like some scientist, and then we see Loki and Mobius, and Mobius is like, oh, I thought you said this guy was like, the way you described him, he was supposed to be scary. This guy doesn't look like he's anything. That was pretty much it for the movie. And yeah, like I said, I thought the movie was really good. There are a lot of things that I didn't like about the movie, but overall I would give it a thumbs up. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Kang again in Loki season 2 and then seeing where else he pops up, because there's like so many projects left until Avengers Kang Dynasty. So that's that. And then that is going to bring me into this next thing. So while I did like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantamania, the majority of critics did not. The reception for this movie has been very, very, very poor. And while it's only the second movie of the entire MCU, which up to this point, I think this is like the 39th or 40 or 41st project of the MCU. This is including movies and shows. So in 40 projects, if you have 2 that aren't good, that only makes up like, what is that, like 4%, maybe 4 or 5% of your entire thing. So if you have a 95% batting average, you're doing pretty good. It was bound to happen, you know. I just think it would be impossible to have a perfect streak. And the Infinity Saga was basically a perfect streak, because every single movie in the Infinity Saga has a fresh score. But post Endgame, I do feel like the quality, the reception to, like, I've liked every single thing post Endgame except What If. I didn't really care about What If, but I basically liked every single thing post Endgame. However, the general audience, from like the reactions you see on the internet and, you know, the critics and all that, like, the reception of these movies have gotten poorer, and it's not what obviously Disney wants. It's not what Kevin Feige wants. It's not what the fans want. We don't want things to be shitty, right? So I just want to bring this up real quick. I just want to illustrate something real quick. So we're currently, Ant-Man and the Wasp was the first movie of Phase 5. So we've had 4 phases before this one. Phase 1, it ran from 2008 to 2012. It had like 5 projects. Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then the first Avengers. Okay, so it had 6 projects. From 2008 to 2012, we got 6 projects. So that's a 5-year, in a 5-year span, we got 6. Cool. Then we get into Phase 2, which ran from 2013 to 2015. So that's a 3-year span. We got Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, and the first Ant-Man. So in the span of 4 years, 2013, 2014, 2015. In the span of 3 years, we got 6 projects. And then we moved into Phase 3, which ran from 2016 to 2019. So 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. It ran 4 years. We got Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. So apart from 2016, starting from 2017, 2018, and 2019, we got 3 movies every year. So in total, that was 11 projects in the span of 4 years. So they each had time to breathe. Now let's look at Phase 4, which ran from 2021 to 2022. So it only lasted for 2 years, Phase 4. And here are all the projects that we got in Phase 4. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, What If you want to count that, but I do count that because it is time that Marvel spent making this that they could have spent making something else. So, What If, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Hawkeye, Spider-Man No Way Home, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Miss Marvel, Thor Love and Thunder, She-Hulk, Werewolf by Night, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. That's 17 projects that the MCU put out in the span of 2 years. To put that into context, the entirety, like combined, Phase 2 and Phase 3 combined is 17 projects. And that lasted 7 years. So between 2013 and 2019, Marvel put out 17 projects. 7 years. And between 2021 and 2022, Marvel put out the same amount in the span of 2 years. If you don't think that is an issue, then maybe you're looking at it in a different way than I am, because Kevin Feige is just one person, right? Like, sure, it's not like he's directing every movie or, you know, he's writing every script, but he is the mastermind behind everything. He produces these films. Mark Ruffalo, actually, I don't remember when, might have been a couple months ago, might have been a couple years ago, I don't remember, but he did say in like some interview that people don't give Kevin Feige enough credit, because he is the mastermind. He has his hand in every single project. But I don't know how many of these projects in Phase 4 out of these 17 that he actually had like an actual good hand. If he had his hand in every single one, then he's being stretched way too thin. And actually, Kevin Feige said when Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out, he said he specifically chose Sam Raimi to direct that movie because, you know, obviously Sam Raimi has experience directing superhero movies with the Spider-Man trilogy, but he specifically chose him because he wanted somebody that he didn't have to look after. Like he didn't have to have complete hands-on. That he could just let him do whatever he wanted to do. And that's really where the issue is, because Kevin Feige can't, you know, be in every single room whenever these projects are being made. Out of these 17 movies, I would say there's maybe 3, maybe 4 that I like really loved. Like WandaVision, that's one that I really loved. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, that movie was fire. Eternals, I thought that movie was really good too. Spider-Man No Way Home, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So out of the 17, only 5 of them I thought were fire. If we look at Phase 3, I thought Civil War, that movie's fire. Doctor Strange, which I think I might like Doctor Strange more than Civil War. I remember thinking about that when I first came out of the movie theater. When it first came out, I was like, I think I might like this more than Civil War. And even now, like 6 years later, I think I like it more than Civil War. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I may be in the minority, but I like Volume 2 way more than the first one. And I loved that first one too. But I think Volume 2 was fire. We got Spider-Man Homecoming. That movie's fire. Thor Ragnarok, which to this day is still the best Thor film. Black Panther, which to me is probably like top 5 MCU films still, after it's been 5 years since that movie came out. Fuck, dude. Avengers Infinity War, again, to me, the best Avengers movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp, again, I like that movie more than the first one. And it's the best Ant-Man movie, even now after watching Quantamania. Captain Marvel, okay, that might be one that I thought it was good. I didn't think it was fire. I didn't think it was amazing, but it was still very well made. It was still a good movie. Avengers Endgame, dude, a perfect culmination of the entire Infinity Saga up to that point. And then Spider-Man Far From Home, which I thought it was really good too. So, dude, out of the 11, 10 of them I think were amazing. So during the premiere of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Kevin Feige said that they're gonna start spreading out these projects more, which I am so happy to hear. And then also Bob Iger, which he was the CEO of Disney. Then Bob Chapek took over. But then Bob Chapek was doing somewhat of a shitty job, so they kicked him out and they brought Bob Iger back a couple of months ago. So Bob Iger, the returning CEO of Disney, the returning and the current CEO of Disney, he also said, we're going to slow down production on a lot of the Marvel projects. So these are 2 things that I'm so happy to hear. If it wasn't for these 2 comments after Ant-Man and the Wasp, which again, I give it a thumbs up, but there is that decline in quality. If it wasn't for those 2 comments, I would be extremely worried. But so what is in store for Phase 5? Because there were supposed to be like 5 shows that were supposed to come out this year and 3 movies. So there's going to be 8 MCU projects coming out this year. So obviously we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which just came out. We have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out in May, which I'm very excited for. We have The Marvels, which was supposed to come out in July, but a couple of days ago they put out this like teaser poster, and in the date it said November 10th. So they pushed it back like 4 months, which again, because I don't understand why they have to put all of their movies in basically the first half of the year. They should spread them out more. But anyways, then we got Captain America New World Order coming out next May 2024, which is actually very close, dude. Like, time goes by fast. We're gonna be watching this movie pretty soon. We have Thunderbolts as well in 2024, and then we have Blade in 2024. Yeah, so Phase 5 is supposed to last from 2023 to 2024. So it's supposed to be another 2-year thing. That's only the movies. So Blade in 2024. Now, Secret Invasion is supposed to come out this year in 2023. Loki Season 2 is supposed to come out this year. What If Season 2, I think, is supposed to come out this year. I don't know. Then we have Ironheart, which got pushed out of 2023 into 2024, which was, again, the whole thing Kevin Feige saying these projects are going to be spread out more. Echo also is being pushed into 2024. Agatha Coven of Chaos, I think that was always going to come out in 2024. And then also Daredevil Born Again. It was supposed to come out next year as well. So in total, that's 13 projects for Phase 5 in the span of 2 years. Look, I mean, there are a couple of things here that I don't even get why they're making it. Like Echo, she was cool in Hawkeye, but I don't feel like I need to watch an entire show just about her. We have Ironheart again. I thought she was cool in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but I don't feel the need or the want or the desire to watch an entire show about Ironheart. And then Agatha, she was a villain in WandaVision. I don't know why they're making an entire show about Agatha. Literally the only show apart from Secret Invasion and Loki that I think they should make is Daredevil Born Again. Then we got What If, which I didn't give a shit about the first season of What If, Ironheart and Echo and Agatha Coven of Chaos. Like, these are projects that Kevin Feige is also like using his brain resources to make, and it's just like these 4 projects that if they weren't being made, he would have more time to focus on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantamania to make it a better movie. You would have more time and resources to just focus on the projects that do matter. That would bring the number of projects down to 9, I think. Yeah, 9 projects in 2 years, which is completely reasonable. So unless they want to make Phase 5 bleed into 2025 and make it a 3-year thing, I don't know. They need to either do that, push some of these projects into 2025, or cancel some of these shows that nobody really asked for. And then one final thought about this. Like, I thought it was ridiculous when they first announced Phase 6 that Avengers Kang Dynasty was going to come out in, I think it was May of 2025, and then Avengers Secret Wars was going to come out in November of 2025. So they were only going to come out within like 6 months of each other, which when I first saw that, I thought that was stupid as hell. And then ever since then, they've changed it. So Kang Dynasty comes out May 2025, and then Secret Wars comes out May 2026. So at least there's the 1-year gap. Like, I thought getting 2 Avengers movies in 1 year would be overkill, and I'm glad they realized that too. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for today. And yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Hopefully you tune in next week. Follow the podcast on Instagram. It's at Screen Reel Podcast. Yeah, please like, comment, share. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching on any of the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., leave a review. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching again. And hopefully I will see you guys next week. Peace.